Hello friends, I am Chevee and this is Disney Lorcana, the trading card game from publisher Ravensburger. And I wasn't intending to do a video about this game, but then I watched other people's content and read some stuff and I thought, I have thoughts. I've been playing trading card games since 93 or 94. I don't remember when Revised came out. Since Magic the Gathering Revised, I've been playing trading card games almost all that time. I played all the card games I could get my hands on that came out at that time, from Magic to Battletech and Vampire and Spell. What was the TSR one? Whatever. X-Files and Star Wars. Played a lot of Star Wars. And Lord of the Rings. Early 2000s Lord of the Rings. So I've been playing competitive card games for a very... Oh, Legend of the Five Rings. Played a lot of that. Anyway. Been playing competitive card games for a very long time, and I've enjoyed myself in that hobby a lot, because I consider it to be kind of, it's a lifestyle game. In order to play these games competitively, you have to invest hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in practice. It takes a lot, and so I did that for years and years and years. I stopped playing competitively in the early 2010s when the Call of Cthulhu LCG was finally canceled. That was the last competitive card game I played. Fast forward to now, Disney Lorcana got announced last year. We were immediately excited. My wife and I both love Disney stuff. Very excited about the IP. We also love playing competitive games against each other. We've actually been playing a little bit of Magic the Gathering lately with the Jumpstart packs, just shuffle them together and go. And we enjoyed that format, so we knew immediately we were going to play this game. And we got this on release day, which was a week ago for me when this was recorded. We were able to get some of our pre-order. We were able to go play in a Let's Play event, or a Let's Learn event. It was a Learn to Play event, and we got more product, and we got to play. And then we spent all weekend playing. And what I can tell you, despite all the other things I've heard, this game it's fine. It's fine. Like, it's a good game. It is what it is. And what it is a pretty standard, basic card battling trading card game. If you've played any of the, I guess I'll call them Magic the Gathering light games, like the Shadow Era and Hearthstone and Spellslingers, and there's dozens and dozens of these card games on all of the various app stores that are a condensed, lightened version of Magic. This is like those. It's like all of those games in a sense that you have cards on the table. You have characters. Characters have stats like power and toughness and a cost. You have to spend resources to put them into play. Once they come into play, you cannot use them that turn. They can't be activated or exerted for this game. You have to wait a full turn. In this, it's called... the ink hasn't dried. So once their ink dries on the following turn, you can use them. They can combat with each other. They can challenge each other. This works very similar to all the other games, and that my character's power or toughness, or I don't know what these are called. My character's strength is taken from your character, and your character deals damage to my character. Damage is permanent. They give you these little tokens in the starter decks, which we're going to talk about. And it stays on that character until it either gets healed or until the character is banished, which is when it exceeds its defense number, whatever that thing is called. So you're attacking back and forth. But this game adds a third stat. So if you notice on Stitch here, there is a little... I don't know what that icon would be called. The shape of that icon is. But that is his lore stat. You gain lore when you quest with this character. And questing, just like challenging a character or, attacking a character, you just exert him and say, I'm questing. And so I would do that. I would gain 1 lore. The goal of this game is to gain 20 lore. So as opposed to the other card battlers where you're trying to take life away from your opponent, in this game, you're questing your characters to gain 20 lore. Once you hit 20, you win. This little extra bonus stat is the secret sauce of this game, because it means that I have a second choice for what to do with my character. My character isn't limited to these numbers in these boxes. And that's fun. It's fun and interesting for gameplay. It's also an interesting way to add another dynamic to a card, which means it affects its costs. It affects other aspects of the game. It adds some depth. That's the depth. Otherwise, there's items which come out they come into play. You can use them immediately. There's action cards, which you can use to take an instant or a momentary, you play the card, do what it says, discard it. There are songs. This is a special type of action, which is neat. These can be spent by exhausting a character of a certain value. So Friends on the Other Side says, I can exhaust a character with cost 3 or more to sing this song for free. So instead of paying the cost, I exhaust. The cost, by the way, is this number in the upper left-hand corner. So Friends on the Other Side costs 3. To play these cards, you have to have ink. So ink is this game's version of mana or crystals or whatever you want to call it. And you can put one of these into play each turn. And most cards can be used as ink. So if you see these cards have this gold iris, that means these can go in your inkwell and be used as resources. Cards that do not have that iris cannot go into your inkwell. On my turn, I can put one card into my inkwell. So let's say I start my turn, I'm going to unexhaust everything, I'm going to draw a card, I'm going to choose this dingle hopper, I don't need a second one, it goes into my inkwell. I now have extra ink I can use to play cards in my hand. That's the basics, that's the game. Unlike some of the more Magic the Gathering light, there is nothing I can do on my opponent's turn. There's no traps I can set, there's no triggers I can put into play that'll say if you attack, I do this or whatever. There is none of that. This is simply, I play cards, I do my choice, your turn. That means there is slightly less interesting turns, but that's not a problem. I've heard people trying to say this is a magic killer, or this is, whatever. It's not. It's never going to be. None of the other thousands of trading card games that have come out in 30 years is the next magic killer. There just isn't one. And this isn't trying to be that. It's trying to be magic adjacent. It's trying to be a cool collectible card game for just about anybody. It's accessible and it's interesting. The other negativity I heard is that there's just not enough variation in the cards, and that's fair-ish. There's only, I believe, 204 cards in the set, and so there's not a whole lot of variation between decks. On top of that, when you build a deck, you can only use 2 colors. There's 6 colors. You can use 2 per deck, so you can't have a wide variety of stuff going on. But the thing is, of those 204 cards, there's a lot of similarities. So for instance, this is Stitch. Stitch is a 1-cost character with 2 power, 2 toughness, and 1 lore. There is a version, a 1-cost 2/2 in every color. So there's 6 of the same card, just with different artwork and a different name. There's a lot of that. So there's quite a few cards that are the same exact card, just in different colors so that they have access to those things. That's fine. Here's the thing. This isn't intended to be the set, right? This is just the start. This is the beginning. In fact, the next expansion is coming in November. And Ravensburger has said there's going to be an expansion every quarter, so there'll be 4 sets a year. This isn't intended to be anything other than an introduction to the game, and I think it's a fantastic introduction. I think the game is solid. I don't notice any glaring problems with it. I did see and hear people complaining that near the end of the game, you've exhausted all your cards, you're just drawing a card and playing it and go, and I've never experienced that. I find that players tend to put too much ink down. Don't put ink down if you don't need it, right? You're not in a hurry to get ink out of your hand. Play ink when you need it. Reserve the cards for use for later if you don't need the ink. So I think as a game, I think it's a fantastic introduction, and I think that's what it's intended to be. I think there is a future here, and I don't think this is intended to try to take out any of the other products. I think it's intended to be, let's see if we can use clever game mechanics and a strong IP to get a part of that trading card game market, and I think that's obviously successful. They're going to pull that off. Other positives I have is the artwork. I believe there's supposed to be Lorcana has its own story, similar to the way that there is a running story in the background of Magic the Gathering. There's going to be a running story in the background of Lorcana told through these cards, and because of that, all of the art is unique to Lorcana. This isn't just screen grabs from movies. They've actually commissioned new artwork, and I think that is fantastic. It's really beautiful. As far as what comes in the starter decks, you do get everything you need technically to play the game. You get your starter deck. They come paper wrapped, which I appreciate. I'm really enjoying this over the plastic cellophane wraps. You get quick start rules. These rules are really good, actually. We use these at the Learn to Play event, taught ourselves how to play in about 10 minutes, and we're up and running. These actually work really, really well. You get this, I guess, playmat. This is kind of laughable. This is intended to be your lore tracker and a playmat where you put stuff in your... what is this? Like, you get these punch outs. These are damage tokens and a lore tracker, which are very, very thin. These are just about as thin as the actual cards. And this is supposed to be your lore tracker that you can put on here and move. I guess technically you get everything in this box needed to play. That's technically true. But I think that this piece of paper and these really bad cardboard tokens can get discarded immediately and replaced with something like a 20-sided die and some 6-sided dice or something that's easier to pick up. These are actually very, very difficult to pick up because they are so thin and so small. Very annoying. But as far as the game goes, I'm very happy with it. I think that we're quickly going to see, in a couple of months, we'll have a whole new set. Apparently, I've seen rumors that it's going to be a bigger set, like 350 cards, and I think then we'll have a lot more interesting variation in game. But I've personally been very much enjoying playing with our limited stock. Me and my wife have our own little collections. We've been building decks out of that and playing against each other, and we've been enjoying ourselves, and we can plan on continuing to play. Yeah. There you go. That's Disney Lorcana from Ravensburger. Do you have thoughts? I'd love to hear it in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what I'm doing, please do the likes, subscribes, leave comments, tell me what you think, ways to improve, all that good stuff. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.